Wait a second. Did that really just happen? Did the Indiana Fever organization, one of the most visible franchises in women's basketball, really inform a reporter who spent more than a decade covering the team that his media credentials had been revoked through an email? No phone call, no meeting, no explanation face-to-face. Just a cold message delivered electronically. If that's truly how this situation unfolded, then it raises serious questions about how organizations respond when coverage becomes uncomfortable. Welcome back to Street Hoops. I'm Dre Fiber, and today we're diving into a controversy that has many fans and media members talking. This isn't just about one reporter. It's about transparency, accountability, and the relationship between sports organizations and the journalists who cover them. To understand why this story matters, we have to go back several weeks. On May 20th, the Indiana Fever were scheduled to face the Portland Fire in a nationally televised matchup. The attention surrounding the game was enormous, largely because of Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest attraction and one of the most recognizable athletes in sports. Yet something unusual happened. The evening before the game, there was no indication that Clark might be unavailable. No public injury designation. No major warning signs. Then, shortly before tip-off, the Fever announced that Clark would not play due to back soreness. The timing immediately sparked questions. Why? Because professional leagues have injury reporting procedures for a reason. Fans spend money on tickets expecting accurate information. Broadcasters promote games around star players. Sportsbooks rely on timely reports to maintain fairness and integrity. According to league guidelines, teams are expected to provide injury updates within specific reporting windows. In this case, questions quickly emerged regarding whether the Fever had properly communicated Clark's status. The situation became significant enough that the league reviewed the matter and ultimately issued the organization an official warning. That alone made the story newsworthy. And that's where longtime reporter Scott Agness entered the conversation. For those unfamiliar with his work, Agness is hardly an outsider looking for attention. He has spent more than 13 years covering basketball in Indiana. Through his independent outlet Fieldhouse Files, he has built a reputation for detailed reporting, insider access, and consistent coverage of both the Fever and the Pacers. Over the years, he has attended training camps, practices, press conferences, road trips, playoff games, and countless community events. He's not someone who appeared overnight because Caitlin Clark boosted interest in the league. He was there long before the spotlight intensified. Following the injury report controversy, Agness published information from a trusted league source suggesting that Clark's absence was connected to a cautious long-term management strategy, given the physical challenges she endured during the previous season. The reporting suggested the organization was being careful with her workload and recovery. Importantly, Agness also updated his reporting as new information became available. When head coach Stephanie White addressed the media and provided additional context, that information was incorporated as well. In other words, he did what reporters are supposed to do. He gathered information, he verified it, he provided context, and he updated the story when circumstances changed. That's journalism. Yet what happened next became the real headline. According to Agness' public statement, the Fever revoked his credentials, effectively limiting his ability to continue covering the team in the same capacity he had for years. The move immediately triggered backlash from fans and media observers. Many began asking difficult questions. Was this really about credential policy, or was it about criticism? Was an experienced reporter being punished for publishing information the organization found uncomfortable? Those questions are fueling debate across the basketball community. Organizations certainly have the right to establish credential standards and media policies. No one disputes that. At the same time, independent journalism plays an important role in professional sports. Reporters are not public relations representatives. Their responsibility is to inform the public, even when the facts may create uncomfortable conversations. That's why so many people are paying attention to this story. The issue extends beyond one article and beyond one credential decision. It touches on a larger principle. How should organizations respond when reporting creates controversy? Do they engage with the criticism and explain their position? Or do they create the appearance of punishing those who ask difficult questions? Right now, those are the questions many Fever fans are asking. And until clearer answers emerge, this controversy is unlikely to disappear. Because when trust between an organization and the media begins to erode, the conversation quickly becomes much bigger than basketball. It becomes a conversation about transparency, accountability, and whether those in power are willing to face scrutiny when the spotlight shines brightest. Scott Agness did what reporters are supposed to do. He broke a story, gathered information from sources, added context as more details emerged, and updated his audience when new facts became available. That's journalism. That's the job. According to Agness' public statement, the Indiana Fever's primary objection centered on one specific phrase: strategic management plan. The organization reportedly believed that characterization was inaccurate and unsupported. Their position was straightforward. Before the game, head coach Stephanie White told reporters that Caitlin Clark was healthy overall, that there was no long-term management strategy in place, and that the decision was simply precautionary because of back soreness and the team's upcoming schedule. Fair enough. Disagreements like that happen every day in sports media. Reporters rely on sources. Teams present their official position. Sometimes those perspectives align perfectly. Sometimes they don't. That isn't unusual. What matters is how those disagreements are handled. Traditionally, organizations and reporters resolve these situations through communication. A phone call is made. Questions are asked. Clarifications are offered. Both sides explain their reasoning and move forward. What almost nobody expects is for a disagreement over reporting language to result in the sudden removal of a journalist's credentials after more than a decade of coverage. Yet that is exactly what has fueled so much controversy surrounding the story. According to Agness, Fever Public Relations representatives briefly informed him before the May 20th game that they believed his report was inaccurate. Beyond that, there was reportedly no formal meeting, no lengthy discussion, and no meaningful dialogue about the issue. Then came the email. Weeks later, Agness was informed that his credentials had been revoked, eliminating his access to games, practices, press conferences, and team-related events. For many observers, that decision raised concerns that extend far beyond a single article or injury report. Because whether people agree with Agness reporting or not, there's a larger question at play. How should professional organizations respond when they disagree with a journalist? Should they engage, or should they restrict access? That debate has become the center of attention. From the outside, the timing has only intensified speculation. The Fever are currently operating under enormous pressure. Expectations entering the season were sky high. Every game is scrutinized. Every coaching decision becomes a headline. Every development involving Caitlin Clark generates national attention. Meanwhile, the team has faced criticism on multiple fronts. Questions have emerged regarding rotations. Questions have surfaced about offensive consistency. Fans have debated defensive schemes. Social media has been flooded with discussions about player usage, coaching decisions, and the team's overall direction. Add in a disappointing loss, growing public frustration, and viral moments involving the coaching staff, and the organization suddenly finds itself under a microscope unlike anything it has experienced before. Against that backdrop, the credential decision landed like a thunderbolt. And for some observers, the controversy became even bigger after additional details surfaced. Agness revealed that his relationship with the broader Pacers sports and entertainment organization had reportedly been changing for years. According to his account, access that once existed began shrinking over time. He described moving from full access to more limited opportunities. He said he was eventually removed from team distribution lists. He also stated that credential opportunities connected to major league events became increasingly restricted. Whether those decisions were connected or entirely separate is open to interpretation. But taken together, many people viewed the timeline as significant. That's why reaction throughout the sports media world was so strong. Several respected journalists publicly questioned the decision. Veteran columnist Bob Kravitz criticized the move, arguing that Agness has long been one of the most thorough and dedicated reporters covering Indiana basketball. Kravitz suggested that removing his credentials was both unnecessary and damaging. National sports journalist Christine Brennan also weighed in, expressing concern about organizations responding to reporting disputes by restricting access rather than engaging in conversation. Others pointed out what they considered an obvious consequence. The credential decision created a much bigger story than the original report ever did. A discussion that might have faded after a few news cycles suddenly exploded into a national conversation about media access, transparency, and organizational accountability. That reality has led many observers to ask a simple question. What was gained? If the goal was to make the original controversy disappear, the strategy appears to have had the opposite effect. Instead of ending discussion, it amplified it. Instead of reducing attention, it attracted more. And instead of focusing public conversation on basketball, it shifted attention toward questions about how organizations manage criticism. None of this means every claim being made online is automatically true. It does not mean every decision by the FIBA front office was made with bad intentions. What it does mean is that perception matters. In modern sports, trust between organizations, fans, and journalists is incredibly important. Once questions arise about transparency, those questions tend to grow rather than disappear. That is why this story continues generating so much discussion. At its core, this isn't simply a debate about one tweet, one injury report, or one reporter. It's about whether professional organizations can effectively handle scrutiny during difficult moments. Because championship caliber franchises don't just face praise when things are going well. They also face tough questions when things aren't. And how they respond to those questions often tells the public as much as the answers themselves. That's why this controversy refuses to go away. The story is no longer about what was reported. It's about what happened afterward. One of the strongest reactions to this controversy came from Jason Whitlock, who argued that the situation represented something much bigger than a disagreement between a team and a reporter. He described it as evidence of a troubling culture and even called on Pat McAfee, arguably the most influential media figure in Indianapolis, to address the issue publicly. Now, whether you agree with Whitlock on every topic is beside the point. The larger issue here is one that should concern anyone who values independent journalism in sports. When a powerful professional franchise appears to take action against a reporter after coverage it disagrees with, people are going to ask questions. And those questions become even louder when the franchise involved is the Indiana Fever. The player at the center of the attention is Caitlin Clark, and the timing coincides with one of the most turbulent stretches the organization has experienced in years. That is why this story continues to grow. At this stage, the discussion is no longer just about Scott Agness. It has become a conversation about access, transparency, and the relationship between sports organizations and the journalists who cover them. Critics argue that the Fever's actions risk creating a chilling effect throughout the media landscape. If reporters begin to believe that critical coverage could jeopardize their access, it naturally raises concerns about independence and accountability. Whether that concern is justified or not, it is clearly becoming part of the public conversation. And when an organization sits at the center of one of the biggest stories in professional basketball, every decision is magnified. Many observers believe the Fever's greatest concern is the ongoing discussion surrounding player health and injury reporting. Throughout the past 2 seasons, questions have repeatedly surfaced regarding injuries, recovery timelines, and the level of detail provided publicly by the organization. Those concerns intensified after the May 20th situation involving Caitlin Clark, which ultimately led to a league review and an official warning. That context matters, because Scott Agness built much of his reputation on reporting information that went beyond official press releases. Over 13 years, he developed sources, built relationships, and established himself as one of the most connected journalists covering Indiana basketball. Supporters of Agness argue that his value came from precisely that independence. He was not simply repeating organizational talking points. He was providing additional context. He was asking questions, and he was often reporting information that fans wanted to know. That is why the reaction to his credential revocation has been so strong. For many people, this wasn't just a reporter losing access. It was a journalist who had spent more than a decade covering the team suddenly finding himself on the outside. Think about the scope of that commitment. Training camps, practices, regular season games, playoff runs, press conferences, community events, daily reporting, podcast appearances, years of work dedicated to covering one organization. According to Agness' own statement, he even invested personal resources into improving coverage for readers, hiring photographers and expanding content because he believed there was a growing audience for Fever and Pacers basketball. Over time, that effort produced a substantial following that stretched across dozens of states and numerous countries. Whether people agreed with every report he published or not, few questioned the amount of work that went into building that platform, which is why the manner in which the relationship ended has generated so much discussion. For critics, the optics are difficult to ignore. After years of coverage, the separation reportedly arrived through a brief electronic notification rather than a direct conversation. That image alone has resonated with many fans. But there is an even bigger issue hovering over all of this. The Fever are facing multiple challenges simultaneously. The team has struggled to meet expectations. Coaching decisions have been heavily debated. Sideline interactions have gone viral. Questions about roster management continue to circulate. Public comments from players have generated headlines. Reports of internal meetings have fueled additional speculation. And now, media access decisions have become a national story. Individually, any one of those developments might be manageable. Together, they create an environment where every new controversy feels connected to the last one. That is why some analysts believe the Agnes situation is less a standalone event and more a reflection of broader organizational pressure. Jason Whitlock went as far as suggesting that the Fever may need a complete reset at the leadership level. Others have stopped short of that conclusion while still expressing concern about how the organization is handling public scrutiny. Reasonable people can disagree about the solution, but what is difficult to dispute is that perception has become a major challenge. Right now, many fans do not see an organization confidently addressing criticism. They see an organization struggling to control an increasingly complicated narrative. And when perception begins moving in that direction, every decision receives even greater examination. Perhaps the most important point comes directly from Agnes himself. In his public statement, he emphasized that this is not a hobby. It is not a side project. It is not something he does for entertainment. It is his profession, his livelihood, his career. That reality is what makes this story resonate far beyond basketball. Because at its core, this debate is not only about credentials. It is about trust. It is about transparency. It is about whether organizations and journalists can disagree without the relationship completely breaking down. And until those questions are answered more clearly, this controversy is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. In fact, with every new headline, it only seems to be growing larger.